Hello and welcome to my podcast. Do me a favor, subscribe to the Keim Report wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. You can find us there as part of Ampire Media, Ampire. Always much appreciated when you tune in. And don't forget, you can read my work on ESPN.com. I have a story up now about the Commanders' offense, the return to high level of efficiency against the Titans, and what it means moving forward as the Commanders enter the home stretch for a playoff push. So give that a read up on ESPN.com. Today, I'm joined by DC Mayor Muriel Bowser as we discuss the Commanders' possible return to the RFK site. So I'll get to that in a minute. But before I get there, I do want to go over a couple issues for you club members. So on Thursday night at 7:30 Eastern Time, I'll be doing the private Zoom session for the Gold members. I will be joined by longtime sports talk show host in the area, Kevin Sheehan. Of course, has a show on the Team 980, also has his own podcast. Kevin's been around a long time. He grew up a Redskins fan. He grew up in this area. So come on in and join us, and let's have a good discussion. I would love to see more of you Gold members show up for that. Always more fun the more people we have. So then for the club members in general, Bram Weinstein, the voice of the Commanders, and I recorded a podcast on Wednesday. We discussed a lot of topics from London Fletcher's Hall of Fame candidacy, which he's not on the semifinal list, and how we both kind of found that surprising and why. And then also we talk about the possible return to RFK. We also discuss what Bram was the host of an event that Adam Peters spoke at on Tuesday. What did Bram learn from Adam Peters during this event? So you club members, you can go there. If you want to become a club member, go to the Ampire Media YouTube page, click on the word join, do this on your laptop, click on the word join, and go from there. Now, like I said, I had the opportunity on Monday to speak with DC Mayor Muriel Bowser at her office. A couple things to know. One, as I'm sure you're aware, the Washington Post came out with a story on Tuesday discussing how what Maryland wants in order to pass the bill through the Senate is to have the use of the DC Air National Squadron. Now, when the story came out, obviously I'd already recorded the interview with the mayor. I did reach out to the mayor's office to see if they had any comment on this that I could even share here. They did not have any comment on this. They did not give a comment to the Washington Post either. I will say on Monday when I spoke with Mayor Bowser, I would have to bet that she was aware of all the negotiations behind the scenes, and yet she remains optimistic about the bill's passage and about the future of the team returning to the RFK site. So just know that. And then the other one is, there was one point I asked the mayor about a neighborhood meeting that took place. I asked recently. Well, bad on my part, bad reading comprehension on my part, because it was an event that actually took place not last month, but 13 or 14 months ago. I think it was in October 2023. In my research to go down to talk to the mayor, I saw the story, and Sam Fortier was one of the co-authors of the story. I thought it was from October 2024. It was from October 2023. So bad on my part, but the mayor did answer the question, and I think you'll see that I even mentioned that on there, that I thought that it may have been from 2023, but just clarifying that with you. So anyways, again, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to the mayor. Appreciate her time very much. I know she's a busy person. So anyways, without further ado, here is DC Mayor Muriel Bowser talking about the Commanders and the possible return to the RFK site. All right. Well, first of all, I appreciate you taking the time.
My pleasure.
This is really enjoyable, a great opportunity for me. So I do want to start with, why is it important for you to get the Commanders back into DC?
Well, listen, I think it's important. First of all, I've been working on getting control of the land at RFK for 10 years. And as we can see, we have an old stadium that needs to come down, surrounded by parking lots, and we need that land for the District of Columbia. But we're also a sports town. And with the Commanders, we would have all of our professional sports. I think what I learned in this year, which I knew, but it was emphasized, how proud DC fans are about their teams and wanting to get behind them. And we're proud that we're going to have the Wizards and the Capitals until, for a long, long time to come, and have a beautiful downtown sports facility. And we know that should also be the case at RFK.
What lessons have you learned over the years of dealing with the Caps, the Wizards, and that whole situation that you can apply here?
I just think that being proud of the civic pride that we have in sports, and how that translates into how people feel about their city. It translates to their willingness to go out and support restaurants. It supports good Monday mornings at the office when your team wins. So all of those things are important, but also how to deliver a good project, and a project that I can feel good about investing our tax dollars in, and the benefits that it will pay to our economy for the long run.
And speaking of, the tax dollars and all that, there's a lot that you're investing a lot in, with the Caps Wizards there.
Mm-hmm.
The Nationals get the revenue stream to renovate.
Mm-hmm.
How much money does the city actually have to also invest into what the Commanders might need? Could that be a stumbling block or no?
No, the better question is how are we going to invest in the land at RFK? Because whether the team comes back to DC or not, we're going to invest in RFK because we have to bring that 177 acres back to productive use. Now, I think that return will happen faster if we have a great anchor like the Washington Commanders.
What else? What's your vision for that site in addition to the stadium?
Oh, it's beautiful. So first of all, many people maybe don't realize that that site sits right on the Anacostia River. And we have spent the last many years developing our two rivers. On the Potomac, now we have a beautiful development at the wharf. And we need a similar activation on the Anacostia side. And we'll get that at RFK, so better connections. Our bills that are in front of the Congress now require us to use 30% of that parcel like a national park. And we're looking forward to that opportunity to really have activated, beautiful park. But we would be able to have an entertainment district, and we would be able to have housing in addition to a stadium. People also don't realize that our current lease with the National Park Service, the only thing that we can do there is a stadium. It's the only thing that we can do there. And so what the new legislation will allow us to do is to develop it with multiple uses, more recreation, more jobs, more housing, more opportunities for DC residents and visitors.
So I haven't heard that part before. So with the stadium, that's the only thing. Is that something that hasn't really been discussed as much?
I mean, we discuss it.
Yeah.
I think, people.
And that may be just on my fault.
Yeah, it's just that it's a reach. When I say it, we need to, when we talked about the lease, either extend it and change our ability, the multiplicity of uses. Like the city wouldn't be in a position to only invest if it was a stadium.
And then, because again, I think there was a public meeting was it in October? What did you learn from that? Because it did seem like housing was a big issue maybe for members of that community. What else did you learn from that, being in that setting?
That's been about a year ago now.
That's been a year.
Yeah, that's been longer than that, where I went over to one of the communities and presented.
Then it was October of 2023 then.
Then probably
that's
so.
Okay.
Because that's been a little while. Some of our other agencies may have had a meeting more recently. Okay. But what I learned from the meeting that I attended, and it was kind of billed as almost a showdown over a stadium or not. And the community had a very detailed presentation about what it wanted from a stadium, and from a redevelopment. And what I realized is the things that they wanted are things that all of the planners who have ever thought about how to redevelop it came up with. We need more housing. We need more commercial. We need activation for entertainment uses. We need more youth sports activation. Some years ago, I put in our budget a $60 million allocation, for example, for us to build our own indoor sports facility. It's like right now our kids, they have to travel outside of the city for indoor track, for example. So we need a facility like that. So that will be located there as well. So it's just really great opportunities.
What do you think with the timeline here? Because it's got to go through the Senate.
Yeah.
We know that. And then what happens after that? And what's your confidence level in the council that this will go through for them?
Well, I went to a hearing in the spring. And it was, I don't even think it wasn't about RFK, but I asked then the chairman of that committee from Kentucky, Representative Comer, these are a couple things that we can work on together. RFK and, a back to the office plan for the federal government. And we have been pretty lockstep in working with our Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton. Bipartisan vote out of committee, bipartisan vote out of the House, bipartisan vote out of the Senate Committee of Jurisdiction. And now we need to get the whole Senate to vote on it. And there's a lot of momentum moving towards that.
And do you feel confident with the council that you can get it, that it'll go through them?
I feel confident. The council just took a unanimous vote on investing in a sports facility for the Wizards and the Capitals. I also got their support on building the training facility for the Washington Mystics and the Wizards some years ago. I was very instrumental in moving the legislation for Audi Field. So this city has actually stepped up to support its sports. Now, all votes like this, there's back and forth, and I expect to have to make the case for why taxpayer dollars should be used for infrastructure for the RFK campus, and I know that we can make that case.
What's been your relationship with the team, especially compared to previous ownership?
Well, I've gotten to know Josh Harris very well. Mitch Rails has been a big investor in the city for many years, with Danaher being one of our largest companies. Mark Gahn is a friend and sports guru. So I've really enjoyed getting to know them. And they have a spirit of winning. They want to win. So they're not just talking about what they can build in terms of bricks and mortar, but how are they building a winning culture? And I think that's important. People feel good about it.
This team has been the franchise has been looking for a new site for a while.
Yeah.
They're new here still, relatively. Do you get the sense that they can be patient while waiting to see if it can happen at RFK?
I think it needs to happen, soon. I do. I think, from their point of view and from ours, we're also very anxious to get that land back into productive use.
What soon mean to you? What is that time?
We want it to happen this session.
Okay.
And it should. It's not just that we want it to. It's been through regular order in both houses. It's time for
But
it
if
to
it gets to
pass.
the Senate, when would it go to the council? What's the process?
Well, then we would just have to finalize and execute
Okay.
the transfer with the federal government. We would have to come to terms with the team. Despite what some people think, we don't have any agreement with the team. So what's in front of the Congress now is really about if the district should be able to invest our dollars in making that National Park Service land really and truly great.
What commitment financially would you anticipate from the team? When you talk to them, what do you anticipate?
Well, that is up to a negotiation,
Okay.
but we would expect that they want to build a world-class stadium, and we would expect no less on the axis of the national monumental axis.
Does it matter to you if it's dome, open air? Because that could affect how
It likely
often.
should. I would think that we want to be able to activate it the most days out of the year.
So a dome.
We would want a Super Bowl.
Okay.
We would want, the World Cup. We would want Taylor Swift or whoever to be able to come. So we think obviously, it would have to be architected and be worthy of the nation's capital.
Are you more optimistic about what could happen here than you were before, given whatever momentum you feel like you have?
Yes. I think in the city, there were a lot of objections raised to the previous ownership and the direction that they took the team. That's almost forgotten, I would say. And I think the spirit of winning is also good. And I think that we have also had an experience about what sports mean to us in this city. And all of the recent public polling indicates that people's willingness to talk about moving the team to RFK has changed a lot.
So the change from Dan Snyder to Josh Harris has made that big a difference?
It's made a huge difference. And I also think a winning team is making a difference.
Jaden Daniels probably helps out a little bit too.
Jaden Daniels helps a lot. I was sharing with somebody. I host a Halloween kind of party. And this year, people who have come every year said they couldn't come because they were going to the game. I haven't heard that in more than 10 years. I don't remember the last time I heard that.
The city had a chance back in the 90s to keep him here. I know you weren't charge them. But did you learn anything from either going back and researching that situation about what happened and what went wrong that can help you at all in this, or is that just kind of so long ago that it doesn't matter?
I don't think it matters.
Okay.
I think what does matter, however, is the kind of opportunities that the people will have at that site if the team leaves. Because a lot was promised then that just hasn't happened. And so these are, I call them my cousins, like Maryland, these are our friends in Maryland, so we don't want them to be harmed. We want them to have a great development at their site. And we have the opportunity to have a great development. So I think it's just kind of a win-win. The team's going to do better. And I think both the receiving site and the former site will have an opportunity for really great new developments and a fresh start.
Was there something that anybody, whether it's on the council, that shared something with you over the last year or so that kind of maybe got you even pointed more optimistically, or anything throughout this process, whether team said anything or anything like that has added to that optimism?
I just think it's the right, I haven't advanced this because of anything anyone has said in the past year. We've literally, if you go back and look at my first inaugural speech, 2015, I'm talking about getting control of this land. This is not a new thing. It's hard, but it does show how sometimes transfers of land can be difficult. Like we even, Franklin Park, we worked on that for like 6 years before we got control in order for the city to be able to invest in Franklin Park. Similarly, Walter Reed, we worked for years and years to get control, and now those are underway. So part of our pitch to the Congress is we know how to do this, and the district is different. We're in this case, the federal government has the ability to transfer property to us as if we were a federal agency.
Do you get the sense that the Senate will pass this?
I do. I am an optimistic sort, but I also think it's the right thing to do. To not have that is a national park, and I know it doesn't look like one, but it shouldn't be in that condition. Now, the National Park Service has a lot of priorities across the whole nation. So what we're saying is let us step in your place. We're willing to come up with a great plan and make the necessary investments so that not just our residents, but our fellow Americans who come to visit the city will be able to enjoy that park.
Anything else that you want people to know about what's going on here and the chances of the team coming back to DC? Because a lot of fans would like for that to happen.
I know a lot of fans would like for that to happen. Frequently when people see me out there, they just start saying spontaneously, RFK. I'm serious, it happened yesterday. And so it is, I think that's what people want. And I just want DC residents to know that we will work on a world-class development project that they can be proud of, that we will make good decisions for the taxpayers of the District of Columbia, and that people will be able to enjoy 177 acres again.
Are there any other hurdles that you would anticipate other than Senate getting it through the council? Anything that you're prepared for or anything like that?
Well, we're just going to work really hard step by step. We get, the first step is getting this vote. We'll get the agreements executed, and then we'll sit down at the negotiation table.
When do you think, again, if they get through there, when do you think you could sit down with them to get that process to the next step?
I think as soon as possible.
Okay, very good.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for coming down. Appreciate you.
My pleasure. You good? That's it for this episode. Thanks to DC Mayor Muriel Bowser for joining me, and thank you, as always, for tuning in. I'll be back on Monday with another episode. Hope to have another very special guest for you on that podcast. So I'll talk to you next time.